So some of the data that we're finding and things we're seeing in the marketplace when we start drilling down and finding companies and asking them what they do and who they employ. Since 2008, we have gone out and created a giant list of all the companies that we believe are in the renewable energy and energy efficiency space in the state of North Carolina. And we looked from everybody from supply chain manufacturers to the installers of systems to owners and operators of systems to green builders and to the law firms and consulting firms that also provide services for these industries. In 2010, we estimate that there's 12,500 full-time equivalent employees across the state of North Carolina that are in this space. That was a 22% increase from the prior year. And collectively, our list at this point is about 1,800 firms. We just updated it about a month ago. We've got about 1,800 firms that across the state that fit the kind of criteria that we look at. They're present in all 100 counties in North Carolina. And by present, that's a term that we use with a specific definition. It's a headquarters, a manufacturing facility, a satellite office, a remote employee. It means somebody's actually based in that county. So we see this activity is not, a lot of it's happening in the urban areas, but it's certainly spread across the state. And collectively, we're finding these companies generate $3.5 billion in annual revenue just related to their renewable energy and energy efficiency work here in the state of North Carolina. For the renewable energy piece, one of the biggest drivers we've seen, or the reason why we've seen this development and growth in these firms, this is the only public policy I'll talk about today, is a policy called the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard. And in a nutshell, it requires our electric use service providers to include renewable energy and/or energy efficiency in their generation portfolio of what they deliver to customers. The requirements differ between investor-owned utilities. The state of North Carolina has 3 investor-owned utilities in progress, and in the Northeast, Dominion. And then we have a numerous number of electric cooperatives and municipal utilities that provide service as well. You can see their requirement is a little less. They've got to achieve 10% by the year 2018, and they have the option to use renewable energy and energy efficiency. The investor-owned utilities, it's a higher standard that goes out to 2021, and they have some restrictions on how much energy efficiency they can use. So they have to find ways to use renewables. The way all of this is tracked and the reason why it's generated a market in North Carolina, the compliance mechanism is the utilities have to either purchase or generate something called a renewable energy certificate. For every megawatt hour of renewable energy generated or energy saved, this renewable energy certificate or REC is generated, and they need to present them to the North Carolina Utilities Commission, which is the state agency that oversees this requirement, to indicate that they're in compliance with the law. So this has been a very large driver for a lot of the renewable energy development that we've seen in the state of North Carolina. This is a forthcoming publication that we're working on. We're trying to do a lot of analysis of a lot of data points in North Carolina, and this is one of them. And it's looking at where are all the renewable energy systems actually in the state of North Carolina. What we have done is gone into all the regulatory filings and dockets of the North Carolina Utilities Commission and pulled out every system that has been filed with the state agency. And we capture a lot of small systems because part of the law that passed in 2007 required small systems to file a report of proposed construction. Without going into a lot of detail, basically they need to answer 10 questions and send it to the Utilities Commission. It goes on record, and that's about it. There's no approval or permitting, but it allows us to track what is happening across the state of North Carolina. I would note that geothermal systems do not have to register or have not been registering at this time, so we don't have a good sense of where geothermal is in the state. But anecdotally, we hear that it's been a very robust business recently for folks in that space. Solar is by far, in terms of adding up the number of projects, each dot in this map represents a project. We have over 800 solar PV systems installed in the state of North Carolina. Collectively, the capacity is about 60 megawatts from when we tally everything up. Hydro and biomass have a much smaller number of projects, but higher level of nameplate capacity in the state of North Carolina. And you can see that a lot of the development has occurred kind of along the interstate corridors or urban clusters in the state of North Carolina. Much of the solar has happened in the RTP region, The Triad region actually has the highest nameplate capacity because of a 15 megawatt project that's in Davidson County. And in eastern North Carolina, we certainly see some development, and it's noteworthy that there's some orange dots there, and those are wind developments. Most of that is small or residential wind. There is one project, and I've got some details later, a 300 megawatt project being proposed in Pascotank and Quinlan County up in the northeast, and one of those dots represents that project. We're also trying to look at, well, where is energy efficiency happening? The other side of this coin here, clean energy coin. Energy efficiency becomes more tough to find metrics to track. The only metric that we have right now to really get a good sense of where it's happening is looking at commercial buildings. So you can see from the legend there, there's a number of certifications or accreditations that buildings can be given. We look at LEED, which is Leadership for Environment and Energy Design. Both registered, which means that they have an intent to achieve the certification of buildings that have actually been certified. And then also Energy Star, which is a program through the U.S. Department of Energy. And you can see that there's widespread distribution of energy efficient commercial buildings across the state of North Carolina. A couple things that are interesting in these data points, those blue dots, those are supermarkets. The overwhelming majority of those dots are Food Lion. They've been very aggressive doing Energy Star throughout their supermarkets across the state of North Carolina. I'd also note that the yellow dots, those are school systems, and you'll notice how they're kind of clustered in counties. So you can see the counties where somebody in that county has decided that within the school system that energy efficiency is something they should be doing, whether either it's a way to save money or for other reasons, and have obviously got a couple buildings that ultimately achieved Energy Star certification. So that is not as widespread, but there's certainly little pockets across the state, some of those in eastern North Carolina, where Energy Star schools have been happening. This demonstrates where, from our perspective, where we see all the firms are located. And I mentioned earlier that firms are present in all 100 counties. What this map is showing is each dot is their headquarters. So we're basically the physical address that we have for each firm, where they're located. So that's why you don't see a dot in every county. And you'll see most of the companies are located, again, in the urban centers along the interstate corridors. But I would draw your attention to the green dots, and especially along the coast. Those are energy efficient builders. Energy efficient builders make up the largest percentage of the energy efficiency companies that we see. And there's certainly a lot of folks along the coast that have shown interest or demonstrated interest or built some buildings that meet some certifications and are captured here. We also see some diversity down around New Hanover and Wilmington, a number of companies that are present there.